What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios. Back at it with another debate episode. Today's debate episode, we're going to be talking about Godzilla versus Hraesvelgr. Now, to be specific, we're going to be using the most recent legendary Godzilla and Hraesvelgr from God of War Ragnarok in the form of Norse mythology. So here's the plan, folks. We're going to put these two giant monsters against each other. We're going to go over their information, their analytics, abilities, territorial level, aggression level, and all those statistics. Once we're done, we're going to put them up against each other in a death battle. So, without further ado, let us begin with Godzilla. Now, again, as I said, we're using the legendary Godzilla. So, Godzilla is an ancient alpha predator who was awoken by the nuclear bomb. This kind of goes back to the 1954 days because that's how the film used the synopsis. And Godzilla's essential uh, usage is to protect Earth as the ultimate force of nature. That's how he's depicted. Now, for abilities, I'm going to do a quick skim and we're going to go over all of the information of Godzilla. We'll come back and do a deep analysis of each ability before we move on to Hraesvelgr. So, let's begin with a quick skim. Abilities goes as follows: Atomic Breath, Combat, Agility, and the Burning ability. Now, territorial level is maximum, aggression is maximum, biome is earth, height is 120 meters, and this is adapted from Godzilla vs. Kong. Alright, let's go back to the abilities. So the first one we have is the Atomic Breath. This is the original, well-known ability that Godzilla has from his nuclear fission, and it is a massive fire that comes out of his breath. It's nuclear radiated, and it basically destroys everything in its path. I think personally it's one of the best abilities Godzilla has because it allows him to do combat from far distance. Alright, the next ability he has is combat. Now, the name combat is vague, but basically what it means is he can fight, he can do tail whips, and his tail whips are very, very deadly. If you remember in the 2014 film, he killed the male Muto with a single tail whip. That's how powerful it is. He can claw, he can kick, he can punch, he can stab his opponents with his dorsal plates. I mean, you name it, right? He can bite and all that stuff. Next one is agility. And this one's a good one because this is the only Godzilla that I know that has ever survived a blast from the oxygen destroyer. He did it. He obviously needed some help, but he survived. He did not die. And especially after the 2014 film, Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, his agility was intense, fighting throughout the entire film, no rest, nothing like that. He is very, very agile. Godzilla's stamina is up there. Finally, we have the burning ability. Now, this one's a good one because it has two catalysts. It's a rare ability, but we're going to assume in this debate video that those two catalysts are going to be fulfilled for the debate. Now, the two catalysts that he needs is Mothra. Interestingly enough, we have her right on our screen right now, but we need Mothra, but not just regular Mothra, her full energy and her full essence, meaning she has to die and give all of her essence into Godzilla. And we need extra radiation, preferably from a nuclear or atom bomb. So basically what this means is he needs more radiation his body already possesses. Once these two things are essentially fulfilled, these catalysts, he goes into burning mode and he's basically overheating, burning up, and he explodes and melts everything and destroys and explodes everything, including melt, depending on the radius of everything in its path. That's how he killed King Ghidorah. Alright, so this is gonna sum up Godzilla. Let's move on to Hræsvelgr. So, I really like this Norse giant. So, Hræsvelgr is a giant that takes the form of an eagle in Hellheim who basically watches over the realm. Now, I know there's other depictions of him, but we're just gonna focus on the God of War Ragnarok. He did appear in the original God of War, but we're just gonna focus on the God of War Ragnarok version. So, abilities. These are some of this I've accumulated as just studying the creature and kind of playing the game. They go as follows. And again, same procedure. We're just going to read them, and then we're going to finish Hraesvelgr, and then we're going to come back and do a deep analysis, just how we did with Godzilla. So the first one is sharp eyesight, high level of knowledge, flight, four wing attack, beak attack. Okay. Territorial level is high because Hraesvelgr guards Hellheim and basically watches over the realm. Aggression is medium. The reason why I came up with medium aggression is because it wants to leave Hellheim. Right? And something needs to replace it. It wants to leave Hellheim. So aggression, I put it a little bit on medium. And it didn't attack Kratos and Atreus. So I think medium is a good one. But if provoked, it is going to attack. Now the biome is Hellheim, and we kind of went over this, but it can leave if another takes its place. So technically, it can go to other biomes, but Hellheim is the current biome that it's staying in. And height, I've understood it to be 118 meters and kind of adapted it to fit this debate. So we're gonna go at 118 meters. Godzilla's 120. It's pretty fair and pretty close. All right, perfect. So let's go back to the abilities and let's do a deep analysis. So first one is you have sharp eyesight. Well, I mean, I think that one's a given because it's an eagle, or essentially it takes the form of an eagle, and they have really good eyesight. So, and plus he needs to see the entire realm. So it makes sense for Hraesvelgr to have very very good eyesight. High level of knowledge. The reason why I came to this conclusion that Hraesvelgr has a high level of knowledge is it knew all of the realm terrors that the big wolf, basically, I forgot the name, but the big wolf that caused it after Atreus freed it, and it just see the giants have the ability to prophesy, have high level of knowledge. They're one of the most basically smartest creatures in Norse mythology, from my knowledge, and so I decided that high level of knowledge is an appropriate ability to place it under Hraesvelgr. Nothing, not and when I mean high level of knowledge, I'm not talking something like Heimdall when you could kind of predict things that are happening, but it just generally it has a good understanding of things that are happening. It's not an idiot, basically, if that makes any sense. Next one we have flight, right? It's an eagle. It could fly, and it also, when it's flying, it could ram you, like basically a ram attack with the flight, and it also goes with the four wings attack. So these kind of complement each other. The four wings attacks is Hraesvelgr has four wings in the game, and obviously it could fly, and those wings could basically start rotating really quickly, and it could attack the opponent with very high level of speeds, almost sonic speeds, and knock the opponent out. Depending on the opponent's skin, knock the head off as well. There's basically you tear it right off, right? And finally, beak attack. It has a massive sharp beak. It could shove that beak in someone's organs, rip it apart in the face, and just cut everything up. So the beak attack is going to be a crucial one, I think, especially in close combat. Okay, folks, this is going to sum up both monsters. What we're going to do now is we're going to... Well, first, before we go into the battle, let me explain what I'm going to do. So we're going to go close range and far range. That's how we essentially rate these opponents and see who's going to win. We're going to do far range first, and then we'll do close range. So the reason why I do it is because far range, what happens is some of the abilities for these creatures gets limited. And it's the nature of the fight, fighting from a far range, and seeing if some of their abilities are limited, can they still win a fight? And then I think it's an excellent way of rating them. And then we go close range. Basically, it's all out, no limits, no restrictions or anything. So we'll start with far range, 600 meters. They are 600 meters apart. That essentially means there is absolutely no physical contact. And that also means, logically follows, any ability that requires physical contact is restricted because of the far range. So let's begin with Hraesvelgr and let's see what abilities it can or cannot use in far range. Now before I continue, I want to warn you guys, so far I've done many Norse mythology characters, and almost all of them have forfeited far range because none of their abilities have been able to suit far range. It's been interesting. I'm still trying to find a Norse mythology character that has far range ability. So we'll see. We'll see if this is the one. If not, we'll keep on searching. So ability, sharp eyesight. Well, that's more of a utility, right? So not really an ability of that's going to be in case for this one. High level of knowledge, again, it's more of a characteristic. Flight, sure, you can fly around. Four wing attack. Well, the four wing attack, remember, it's a wing and it needs to hit the opponent. That means it's physical contact. So therefore, that's eliminated in this sense. And beak attack, well, what does it have to do with the beak? It has to hit the opponent, or in this case, hit Godzilla with the beak, tear into his flesh. That's physical contact. So, once again, for Norse mythology, Hraesvelgr, and many, and I mean many other opponents have forfeited and lost far range because they have no ability that could travel at far distances. So, unfortunately, Hraesvelgr loses in far range automatically because it has no abilities. Therefore, Godzilla wins 1-0 for close range. Now or excuse me, I meant to say far range. Now let's go to close range. All right. Now, close range is a different ball game, right? Everything's open, everything's fair game. So let's just once again remind ourselves Godzilla is rated at 120 meters tall, and I rated Hraesvelgr at 118 meters tall. So basically, 2 meter difference. I don't think it to be in any significance of downside or downsizing in anything, right? It's not gonna take away. It's not gonna give to any of these opponents. I think they're basically equal. Now, given the aggression levels and the territorial levels, I think Godzilla is going to be way more territorial. Given the nature of his characteristics, that he's to protect Earth, and we're going to assume this takes place on Earth, or we could just say the overworld. Godzilla's going to be the first one to attack because he's defending his home. And I think the first thing he's going to do is obviously the most anticipated ability and the most common ability. It is the atomic breath. And the atomic breath is, and I believe, is going to do a lot of damage to Hraesvelgr. Simply because the skin and the makeup of Hraesvelgr is a massive eagle, and just the feathers are very easy to rip across. I mean, it's simple as that. You could tear across the feathers and attack the skin very, very quickly. Now, let's not forget, though, that Hraesvelgr has a high level of knowledge. That means adaptability. It's going to understand that Godzilla has an atomic breath. He can shoot it, he can burn his feathers off, and basically damage it. So it's going to start flying around at very, very fast speeds. And it's going to do four wings attack in the sense of just ambushing Godzilla, right? I mean, it's quick, and it's gonna start hitting him at different areas and different places quickly. And Godzilla, we did agree that it's agile, but it's not gonna be quick enough to see Hraesvelgr when it's flying right past him and zooming past him and just attacking him from left and right. So for the most part, I think Hraesvelgr is gonna dominate the close range with the four wing attack, including, and I don't think it's gonna be just limited. It's also gonna use the beak attack as it's using the four wing attack, hitting with the wings, and the wings are very sharp, right? It's gonna start ripping the flesh of Godzilla. The beak is also gonna hit, and it's gonna start ripping up Godzilla until this is when we get until, because again, let's not forget Godzilla's not an idiot as well, and we saw it in Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla's quite smart actually, and so until Godzilla uses the tail whip and basically racks Hraesvelgr out of the sky, and remember what I said, we're assuming Godzilla has the burning abilities Catalyst's Mat, which was Mothra's essence, and the extra nuclear radiation. Once Hraesvelgr is on the ground and Godzilla uses the burning ability, I am 100% convinced that the burning ability will basically swipe, whatever you want to say, Hraesvelgr away. He is gone. Um, that's what I see from close range, personally. That's how I depict the fight. I mean, I think I gave a pretty well descriptive idea of the fight, and I think that's how it's going to play out. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is 2-0 for Godzilla on this one. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be an interesting fight to see, but ultimately, the ancient alpha predator, the alpha Godzilla, is going to come out as the winner. Obviously, now I don't have to just do Norse mythology. You guys can comment other creatures, even including other Godzilla monsters, in the comment section below. Also, feel free to debate with me. I'm gonna leave. I always leave the statistics that I'm going off of in the comment section below, or excuse me, I meant to say description below. If you guys want to refer to it and just simply debate with me in the comment section below, because it's an open dialogue. So why not? But yeah, leave your suggestions. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.